My partner bought the ring a long time ago. He previously insisted that we had to live together to see if we were compatible before he could propose, and that he wouldn't propose otherwise. I have been ready for much longer than he has, and that's not his fault, of course. But after waiting and waiting, I have gone from anxiety to hope, to excitement, and finally just numbness. He didn't intend for me to know, but my sister, who helped him finalize the ring out of the ones I had liked, was happy about it and couldn't keep the secret that he's proposing in just under a week. It makes sense now that he was trying to get me to take a couple of days off to go away for a mini break to the town in which we met. But I couldn't get leave approved. She noticed that I've been feeling quite low throughout the holiday season, and she thought it was because I was waiting for a proposal. But the reality is that I gave up on it a month or two ago. I've tried to convince myself that it's what I still want, but that ship has sailed. It's quite strange to be in the process of falling out of love with him gradually. He's 29, and I'm about to turn 29. I fear I'm being irrational here, because in total, we've been together for only 3 years. But he's been telling me for 1.5 years that he will soon propose. I feel compelled to say yes now because everything is in place, but I don't feel in love with him anymore. He seems happy to talk about marriage now and has brought up marrying in autumn a bunch of times, and I wish I still felt the same joy at discussing wedding plans that I did before. Now, for a few important comments. One commenter said, 3 years is nothing, considering you could be spending the rest of your life with this person. Be glad you realized now. I replied, I've only begun feeling this way because he kept saying a proposal was coming soon and didn't propose for 1.5 years, and his insistence on living together when he knew it was not something I was comfortable with without being engaged. Another commenter asked how long ago I moved in with my boyfriend and if it was fine for me to live with him. I responded, only a few months ago, and I shouldn't have done it because I was not happy to. I used to share a flat with my friend and had done so for years. The only way to live together was to move into the flat that he's been renting because he lives on his own. Big mistake, doing something that didn't feel right to me at all. No, it's actually been fine living with him, but living together before engagement was really something I did not want to do. But he made it a condition to getting engaged after he bought the ring earlier in the year. I shouldn't have agreed to it, but I did. And that's where the resentment has come from, along with the 1.5-year wait. Another commenter said, to feel that much resentment after such a rather short time is a sign that you weren't right for each other anyway. Honestly, 3 years of dating and requesting to live with each other before marriage are totally reasonable at your age. Objectively, you are being a bit unfair here, but if you are just not feeling it anymore, so be it. It's better to end things now before the engagement. This is no base for a lifetime commitment. I replied, I don't think feeling resentment after waiting for 1.5 years is soon at all. He said he would propose soon, and soon is not more than a few months, certainly not over a year. He should have been honest that he wasn't ready instead of dragging this for 1.5 years. Another commenter suggested I was blaming my boyfriend for my choices and needed to communicate with him about the issue. I responded, I don't believe I am, especially as he wasn't communicating clearly with me on the issue until a few months ago. Sometimes you do things that you feel will work out fine, but you don't realize until later how they will make you feel. I felt pushed into making that decision because of the various conversations that we had earlier this year, in which he shared things that he should have done a long time ago. Another commenter asked 2 questions. 1. Numbness aside, do you want to marry him? Like, take away all of the pomp and circumstance and the emotional politics around it. Do you want him to be your life partner? 2. What is up with your sister? Why did she spill the beans? I get if she knew you were checking out and felt you needed a heads up. But if she didn't know that, and it doesn't sound like she did, what she did isn't okay. Anyway, it's normal to be almost a little blue when getting engaged later than you wanted. It doesn't mean this won't work out. Unless you don't want it to. It could mean that you just need to have a good, healthy fight where you air out all of your frustration that he has held you hostage on this for so long. I answered, 1. There was a time, until recently, when I really wanted him to be my life partner, and I thought we were a good match, but not anymore. 2. She was mistaken and thought that I had been feeling low because he hadn't proposed, so she was trying to cheer me up, thinking I'd be thrilled. He told her he had everything planned and ready for a proposal on our anniversary, so she thought I would be happy. Now for the update. In the middle of 2023, he said he was proposing soon, but a year later, he still hadn't, and finally admitted he wouldn't until we lived together, even though he had bought a ring. This was despite me asking him a couple of times what was holding things up, and he always assured me it would happen soon. After he finally shared this with me, he kept insisting I move in, even though I wasn't interested in that before an engagement. But I did because of how much I loved him, and the resentment had been slowly building up ever since. I know it's my fault for moving in, and I should have been firmer about my boundaries. He knew from very early on that I didn't want to set up a house home with a partner without an engagement. Early in the relationship, 8 to 9 months in, he wanted me to move in. But I told him that I wouldn't do that with someone unless I was going to marry the person and was engaged. He said at the time that was okay and that he understood. So why did he say he was going to propose soon last year, knowing where we stood on this matter? Knowing he was going to propose and realizing I didn't want to marry him anymore, I told him on Saturday night that we couldn't be together anymore. He didn't take it well. He told me I had blindsided him and that he thought we both wanted a future together. He initially said he didn't know what he did wrong, and I had to explain to him that he knew we had issues regarding him always having his way and him knowing I was uncomfortable about moving in before an engagement. The truth is, whenever we disagree, I always end up giving in. He doesn't compromise and isn't very flexible. I've pointed this out to him before, and he accepted that it was an issue, yet nothing changed. Now that I'm ending things, he's saying he'll work on it and it's not something to break up over. We could probably work through the resentment and improve our communication, but I don't know if I'll ever feel the same way about him again. Also, given that he kept saying he was proposing soon but waited for 18 months, I worry that he might again drag his feet when it comes to other things like having kids or even with planning the wedding. He woke up this morning, the day he was planning to propose on, as it's our anniversary, and said he couldn't believe what was happening. He said it didn't feel real because we should be getting engaged today, but instead, we were in the process of breaking up. He even asked at one point if we could try again, saying our relationship had been happy for both of us, and that living together we had been very compatible, irrespective of how I felt about moving in. He asked if I would consider giving the relationship another chance if we took a break from each other for some time. Again, I don't think this is a good idea. The days since I ended the relationship have been really tough, but it was the right thing to do because we are incompatible. People in my previous post mentioned that I just wanted to marry and get engaged and didn't care who to, but that's not true. My ex, whom I was with from university, was keen to marry me and brought it up soon after we started our first jobs. However, there were a range of issues in that relationship, and I didn't think it would work. So after trying to resolve our issues and not being able to for a year, I had to end that relationship. If a marriage and engagement were all I wanted, I would have married him and ignored the issues. I genuinely thought my current partner, well, ex now, and I were a great match, but I suppose I was wrong. I was living in a flat with a friend, and it was ideal for me in every way. I had to find someone to take over my lease, and I did this to move in with him. Now I have to start looking for a new place again. I've already started, and fortunately, I live in a city where finding a place won't be too difficult. My friend said I should not move out in a rush since I'm paying half the rent toward his place, but the reality is that this place never felt like home because I moved in begrudgingly. Again, I know it's my fault, but I can't live in what is essentially his home if we aren't going to be together. My sister said that I should think about the fact that I'm going to be 29 and about how it might be difficult to find someone to have children with before I hit my mid-30s. But it's better to be single than in a relationship that's not right. I know I might not meet anyone else anytime soon or at all, because you never know what life is going to bring. But that's okay. There are other things in my life that I plan to focus on, like studying for a postgrad diploma that I have been wanting to do for some time. I know he'll be fine soon, as he's quite resilient, and then both of us can get on with our lives. Now for a few important comments. A downvoted commenter said, in this case, his hesitancy paid off because it allowed the OP to realize that they weren't compatible for reasons unrelated to proposing. He was correct not to propose. It saved a future divorce. This wasn't his intent, but the overall issue here was the OP wasn't happy with how decisions were made in the relationship. The partner was. It took years for the OP to express this. Now that she has, both can move on with their lives. In this case, the issue appears to be she didn't communicate with him the issues she was having. He was quite clear that he wanted to live with someone before getting married and proposed after a reasonable length of time after it occurred. It's good she was finally able to communicate and move on. Then OP responded. He was not clear about this and waited a year to tell me why he wasn't proposing. And this was after earlier in the relationship, when he wanted us to live together. I had told him I wouldn't live with someone unless the relationship was going to lead to marriage and I was engaged. And he said that was fine and continued the relationship. Commenter 1 asked, did he need help with bills? Why did you need to move in and pay half? OP replied, he didn't need help with paying the bills, but I chose to pay as I think that's fair. I would not be comfortable with him picking up the bills for both of us when we both work. Commenter 2 said, he didn't fight for you. You'll meet the one. You know now what you don't want, and that's a good start, and stick to your boundaries and goals. Always. OP responded, he's been quite difficult since that day, particularly about me leaving and looking for somewhere to move, but I don't want him to make it any more difficult by fighting for me. Just can't wait to be out of this place. Commenter 3 said, he doesn't compromise and isn't very flexible. I've pointed this out to him before, and he accepted that it was an issue, yet nothing changed. You're doing the right thing. Commenter 4 added, don't fall for the trap of going back to a man who is only willing to consider changing his ways when you already have your foot out the door. He won't change, and even if he does, it will only be temporary. Am I the idiot for cutting off my deceptive boyfriend after discovering his fake online personas? I just want to know why. When it finally came time for the Hawaii trip, how were you going to explain that? What were you thinking? You know something I've noticed about you? You can never just be calm, and there always has to be an issue. I know you were raised in a volatile environment and still have to relearn a lot about healthy relationship dynamics. But it's like you thrive on chaos. Only. And we were going to see Wicked tonight. Pfft, I guess there that goes. You can't be serious. I deserve answers. I am honestly so creeped out. Basically, half of my life for the past 2 years has been a complete and total lie, and you were behind all of it. Okay, don't be dramatic. You know this isn't a big deal. You're just giddy to harp on this and make a bigger issue. I guess I should have been less oblivious. But since a little before we started dating in 2022, I was added to my boyfriend's, just friend at the time, 3-person Instagram group chat with what he explained were some of his closest online friends. The 2 other accounts seemed like real people because they had real followers and comments on their posts and drastically different aesthetics looks to them. We eventually made a Discord server for us. And that alone was convincing enough since multiple times we'd all be active at the same time. We never voice chatted, but I used to never voice chat either, so I didn't think twice. The group got closer though as more and more time passed since I was first added to their group chat, and last month we got together and planned a research trip to Hawaii for August. We live on the east coast of the US. Like we booked everything. So imagine my surprise when I'm over at his house tonight and his computer is open and I just want to log into my Google Docs when I accidentally stumble across, first of all, follower bot sites, and also him logged in and chatting with me as one of the individuals I thought I had become close with, and just got this sinking feeling. I didn't jump to the idea that they could be fake either. I was like, maybe he just has their logins since they're all so close and is way too interested in their messages. But then I noticed their only chats were the group chats and the server. And the real kicker was the email address it was signed up under was his backup email with his full name. I quite literally snooped until he got out of the shower and caught me, which I'm not saying was right of me, but I couldn't help myself. During my snooping, I gradually became devastatingly confident that he wasn't behind just one, but both accounts. I've never seen his face so red, and he just absolutely panicked and started shouting at me to get out of his business. I couldn't even form the right words to say to him. In the end, I just walked out of his apartment sobbing. It's very early in the morning, I get that, but this screenshot is what he has to say, and I'm starting to feel crazy. Am I overreacting about my discovery? Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "Ghost him and be thankful you didn't procreate." I think ghosting is exactly what I'm going to do. And right, LMAO. Another commenter suggested OOP should leave her boyfriend if they live together, as it's not safe. Thankfully, we have never lived together, so it will be easy to discard him from my life ASAP. A different commenter said, "That is seriously so freaking creepy. He probably made those accounts to try to get with you back when you were just friends, and then just continued with the lie after he won his prize. This is gross and unsettling. I wouldn't even want to be anywhere near him after that." God, yeah, that tracks. Looking back, they did hype him up an awful lot. Bruh. Now for a brief update, just got this. He still hasn't explained himself, essentially at all. I am going to take the advice of the majority of the comment section and block on everything. Thank you so much for all of your kindness and support. I have not slept at all, as this is just such a bizarre situation, so I appreciate you all. Now for a few more comments. One commenter asked, has he otherwise been a functional member of society? Was he afraid to admit he didn't have any friends? Yes, this is honestly shocking. I thought he was just mean sometimes, not additionally crazy, and the other proper words. He has a best friend in his hometown. Now for a safety update. I honestly have the biggest migraine of my life, and I haven't slept at all. Nothing similar to this has ever happened to me before, but my life has been crazy enough to where I wasn't able to prepare for the huge reaction something like this gets. I knew it was bizarre, but I didn't know it would jump to the top of everything. I assumed it would collect some advice or opinions I could read, and then the post would get lost in the void, like how it goes with the majority of my others. But I sincerely appreciate every bit of support. Unfortunately, I am also being bombarded with hate and nasty messages, and my headache keeps getting worse, so I need to get off Reddit for today. But I don't want to just ghost and make people think something horrible happened, because I am taking the steps to make sure nothing does. He does have my address, but I live with my family in an apartment building that needs a key fob to get in, so I have at least those 2 layers of safety for now. But for some reason, I doubt that at least today there will be any attempts at a personal confrontation, and even then, I am confident I will be able to remain safe and far away as possible in the case he does come around. I have alerted some of my real friends of the situation as well, and they will be close to me as much as they can. So please do not worry when I am not active for the rest of today. I'm just getting nauseous from my headache, and I don't want to start the day feeling like this. Now for a top comment. To add to the alt theme, this guy is clearly very adept on how to use the internet to further his own means. The fact that your posts exploded means he's likely seen them if he spends any time on Reddit, and he'll be using this as a means to get to you, your friends, and anyone you trust as a method of spreading misinformation about you. I know you're asleep, but this isn't something that you should sit on until tomorrow. I'm not sure what the correct course of action here is, but inform your family and call police non-emergency to let them know that there's an issue. they may have some indication of what to do next. I'd also arrange some scheduled wellness calls and safe words with people you trust, where if you don't check in, then it signals an alarm, and they can verify that who they're talking to is you. Tell them the safe words over the phone by voice so it can't be gleaned from your message history. I'm not trying to be dramatic or overreact here, but this kind of extreme situation requires even more extreme countermeasures. Please treat it with the gravity that it deserves. Now for a few comments. Commenter 2. Based off what he's already done, I wouldn't be surprised if he assembled a bot army to post some of the hateful, nasty responses you're getting. But for real, getting offline and taking care of yourself is a good next step. Good luck. Is your family aware of what's going on too? It's vital you start telling those you trust exactly what's happened so that they understand the gravity of the situation. Also, get in there before he starts lying, because he absolutely will. Commenter 4. Also, assume all of your devices are compromised. He's probably tracking you everywhere online. You need to spend some time securing your accounts and devices. Now for a little non-update. I still see people concerned for my safety. So even though I'm taking a break for today, I just want to share that I have received no communication from him today. I ended up going on a hike with a friend, then out to dinner and drinks, and had a nice time. I am home with my family now, and hopefully the rest of the night is as uneventful. Am I the idiot for blaming the event organizer for our food truck's Meat Mountain disaster? I'm extremely upset and embarrassed with myself for how I came to possess 400 pounds of hamburgers and hot dogs, and now I need to unload them quickly. We own a food truck and do not usually do burgers and dogs, but got booked for baseball and softball tournaments and were requested to do large volumes of them. Turns out we kind of got misled by the organizer, which brought down our total tickets, and people really preferred our signature items over the burgers and dogs, which is encouraging. We could try to add them to our menu at other events, but to do so we had to remove our favorite signature item, so we don't want to upset our regulars or change what we are about and become a burger and dog truck in an already saturated market. Please help. If we just take the loss on these, it's going to be terrible for us. Now, for a few important comments. One commenter suggested asking the purveyor for a favor to take them back or help resell them off the books to another customer. They also suggested asking competitors if they want to purchase them at cost. The original poster replied that this was a good idea and that their distributor would be their first call after speaking with the organizer. Another commenter suggested setting up a program where customers could buy or donate lunch for first responders, using the hamburgers, hot dogs, and meatloaf. The original poster thought this was a genius idea. A commenter asked about the theme of the truck and suggested repurposing the ground beef into a dish that fits it. The original poster mentioned they are a home-style Southern comfort food truck and considered using the patties for meatloaf. Another commenter suggested making chili cheese dogs and using the ground beef for chili. The original poster liked the idea but was nervous about selling hot dogs elsewhere if they couldn't sell them at a baseball game. A commenter suggested partnering with breweries for a beer and hot dogs day. The original poster thought this was a great idea as they were trying to get into breweries. Now for the first update. Thanks everyone for all the support. The distributor helped us out by getting us some free samples of pork shoulder and brisket to help recoup some losses. We added a special called the hog dog, which is a hot dog split down the middle and fried on the griddle, filled with BQ, topped with barbecue sauce and coleslaw. It fit our theme, and our regulars loved it. It sold well, but due to rain, our baseball tournament got canceled, so we had to do smaller events. However, it did help us offload about 20 pounds of dogs. The burgers were also selling pretty steadily, so we don't have anything drastic to do there yet. We have another tournament this weekend, so I will update again after that. Now for the second update. We had another good weekend. We used the brisket the distributor gave us and put it on top of a burger. We sold all but one serving in a day, which was great because I was eyeing that burger all day. We also did the hog dog again and sold out. We did another baseball tournament and worked through a few more cases of regular burgers and dogs, so we are moving them pretty decently. This week, we have another brewery and more baseball, so I think we are going to try chili dogs and maybe play with corn dogs. Also, depending on the cost of the brisket, we may put that back on the menu. People really loved it, and we got some amazing compliments that made us feel really good.